guitars, and today I'm going to explain to you why, even though you have a new guitar and you think everything's all good and you get it, you really need a setup and a level crown and polish. 9 out of 10 times the level crown and polish, 100% of the time you need a setup, unless it's like a PRS or a Collins or these really high end. But Fender and Gibson, you definitely going to need a level crown and polish and a setup. So let me explain why. When they set these guitars up to go to stores, they set the action a little high at the nut, they put some more relief in the neck, and they jack the action up at the saddles. When you bring it to me to have it set up, I'm going to lower the action at the nut, I'm going to straighten the neck out, I'm going to match the radius of the fingerboard with the saddles, and I'm going to intonate your guitar. And it's going to play great, but it's also going to reveal any little problem you have with your frets. So this is a guitar that I took in the other day, brand new from Guitar Center, and it's I think it's a Fender Player Series. It's around the $700-800 price mark. So it's a fairly, expensive guitar, but it's not, $3,500 custom shop. So I set it up. I had to cut down the E, the B, the G, the D, the A, and the E were fine. There was a ton of relief in the neck, so I straightened that out. The radius on the saddles did not match the radius of the fingerboard. So immediately upon straightening the neck out and lowering the nut slots, what I found out was the G, the D, the G, the D, and the A strings were rattling because they were too low, because they weren't matching the radius of the fingerboard. Once I got all that set up and it intonated, what I realized was that although the frets were level, they did that was done well in the factory, the frets are not crowned. So what you hear, I don't know whether that's coming through on the phone microphone, but the high E's rattling. They're all kind of rattling. And I mean, if you do a really light approach, it still rattles, okay? And why that is because you have the width of the fret, and it's supposed to be crowned properly to a point of about 0.010 of an inch of a strip on the top of the fret. Now these, on the treble side towards the B and the E string, although level, they're too flat. So what's happening is, instead of the string resting on a nice sharp point and not having much other metal to contend with, it's now sitting on a much flatter spot. So now you put your pressure on the back end of the fret, and what it's doing is it's lifting that string up just enough for it to rattle on the front end of that flat spot. So that's why you need your frets properly crowned. Now, if you think you're going to take the cheap approach, which is just a setup, what's going to happen is you're going to get a setup done, you're going to take it home, you're going to play with it, you're going to nitpick everything that's wrong with it, and then, since your luthier or tech has already set it up, that's about an hour's worth of work. They're going to charge you anywhere between $60 and $95, $100, depending on where you're going. So if you were to bring this into me, I set it up, you come back a week later, and you need a level crown and polish, chances are I've got to do everything I already did over again, especially on a Stratocaster style, because each one of these is individually adjustable. Les Paul, not so bad. Anything with a tune-o-matic, maybe a wrap tail, different, okay? But I'm going to have to level your frets, I'm going to have to crown them over, then I'm going to have to polish them all out, then I'm going to have to readjust your nut action at the nut and here and redo your intonation. So now, if I charge $75 for a setup, but I charge $200 for a level crown and polish. With a level crown and polish, your setup is included. It's part of the deal. So basically what's happening is you're paying $125 for a level crown and polish, which is the most labor-intensive thing you can do on a guitar. If you get it set up and then you realize that, oh, I need a level crown and polish, it's going to be $275. They might cut you a break, maybe, because you're going to use the same strings, but chances are strings are going to get banged up during that process. You need new strings. So it's basically, you're going to pay $275 for what you could have paid $200 off the bat. Now, my suggestion is if you're going to buy something over the internet and you're going to have a 24, 48 hour grace period to, you know, check your guitar out, set it up with your tech or your luthier. Let them know I'm going to have this guitar delivered on this day, you know, or like, you know, you're going to find out through track number, but like there's going to be a range. Let them know. Let them be cool with the fact that you're going to bring the guitar by to have them check it out. If you already have an established relationship with your tech or your luthier, they're probably going to do it for free. You know, just check it out, give you the analysis. If they got to do a little something on the bench and it takes them a little time, yeah, maybe they'll charge you a bench fee, but they know that you're going to bring that guitar to them to get whatever needs to get done, so they're usually pretty cool about it. Bring it to them, let you know what's wrong with it and how much money it's going to cost you to get it to play optimally. Very rarely do I find a new guitar or a guitar that you buy off Reverb or anything like that it doesn't need a level crown and polish. To me, in my opinion and my experience, and I've got plenty of it, you're never going to get your guitar to play right until it's been level crowned and polished, period. They got to be level, they got to be crowned properly in order to get intonation. If it's not crowned properly, your guitar's not going to intonate because that spot that string is resting on is like 2 to 3 times the size it's supposed to be. 10,000ths of an inch in intonation is a couple cents, or a half, you know, 1.5 cents or whatever. So you got to work that into your price when you're buying something. So sometimes, you know, like Collings guitars, they don't need them. PRS, I've watched their factory video. They don't crown their frets. They level them and then they go over them with sandpaper and a block to round them over. But they're not crowned to a fine point, you know? So if you got someone with a Plek machine near you, that's a good way to do it. You know, but the person running the Plek's got to know what they're doing, you know? I get my crowns perfectly flat, perfectly crowned, polished out beautifully, no rattling. They sound better intonation, they got better tone, they've got better sustain because they're not rattling off each other. They feel better. When you bend the string, it's like they're skating on glass, and it's going to play as good as it could ever play. You know, as long as there's no like real problems like a hump in the neck or your fingerboard extensions ramping up, that's a problem with Strats, but this one doesn't have it. The problem is the frets are too flat from 1 to 7. I gotta say Collings is the best as far as fit and finish of the fretboard. PRS is second to none. I mean, everything about their guitars are perfect. The only thing is I notice sometimes I have to crown their frets. But you can't really get around it. It's just, you need to do it for it to really play well. And work that into your cost when you're purchasing something. Know you're gonna have to bring it in and spend that extra $200. At minimum, $75 for a setup. You might get lucky and someone already had the level crown and polish done. But just don't think because you're buying a factory guitar that it's gonna play perfect. Because that's where factories cut their corners, is on the fretwork. Because it's the most labor-intensive thing, you know? They want it to be nice and shiny, play good in the store so you take it home, but as soon as you fine-tune it, you're gonna find all the warts and wrinkles and all that. So keep that in mind and work it into your price.